This is Adamantly Analog, episode 69. This week, we're talking about Dexterity Games.
Hello and welcome to Adamantly Analog, the only board gaming podcast you can balance on your pinky finger. Because we're so dexterity based. Hey Corey, how's it going?
I don't know. When you started like the harsh B's in that sentence, I thought the thing that you were going to balance that on also was going to start with B. In my head, I came up with the word bazingus.
That's not a body part that I know of.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it didn't. No one said it had to be a body part, but.
Well, that's where my brain is.
Yeah. I'm doing good, and I'm ready to talk about Dexterity Games today. Yeehaw!
Oh yeah. I don't even remember if I said my name at the beginning of that. Hey, I'm Harrison Dunn.
Hey, Harrison. So, Protospiel, did you survive?
I went there. I did the Chicago Protospiels, and I came back, and I'm still alive. I am recording post Protospiel, so yes.
Good.
It was a good
Very
time.
good.
Yes, lots of playtesting, nonstop. Played some cool games. It was, it was a weekend of something. It was a weekend of playing lots of games, and it was a weekend of trying White Castle for the second time and regretting it.
Now, are you talking about board game or the food?
I'm talking about the food.
Nice. Well, that sounds
Yeah.
awesome. I'm looking forward to joining you in a Protospiel in Madison pretty soon.
Real
I
soon.
can only imagine the joys of testing board games and having your board games tested and being around a bunch of like-minded people that want to test games and share ideas. And man, it's gonna be great. Looking for it.
Well, you've been playing any published board games, Corey?
Yes, I have. I don't remember if I talked about this one or not, but I played the Lost Runes of Arnak Twisted Paths.
Yeah, what is the Twisted Paths?
It comes with the adventure chest, which is the big old box with the inserts in it for all of the Arnak content that's ever been released. And they have said definitively that this is the end of Arnak. They're not making any more stuff. I'll believe it when I see it, but there would be nowhere else to put it now. So I truly hope that this is the end. And yeah, I don't have any FOMO for missing out on stuff. But yes, it comes with 2 new expansions, or it comes with the Twisted Path expansion, which has 2 new boards, I should say. And I have only played one of them so far, but I have played that one expansion a couple of times now, and that is the I think it's the Owl Temple. There's 2 of them. There's one of them that introduces a whole new item on the research track. So those Arnak aficionados will know that you can research throughout the game by basically expending resources to move your magnifying glass up this track. It's kind of like a prize wall. And then following it is a journal. It's kind of like logging your findings on that same prize wall. This one introduces a third element of that, which is a lantern. And so you get to these points where there's kind of these secret passages you can lock your magnifying glass in, and then all of a sudden the lantern starts at the bottom of the track, and there's a whole another set of prizes to unlock with that.
Oh, that's
Does
kind
this
of neat.
sound familiar? Did I talk about this already?
No, you didn't. You did talk about playing one of the expansion boards, but you did not talk about any lantern. Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Yeah, so that one's pretty fun. I think I probably mentioned then that it was a little bit more depth and more consideration in a game that already has a lot of thought. A
Yeah. Oh yeah.
a lot of like kind of chaining resources together and converting things in the most efficient way possible. So more opportunity for regrets, but for those that are like really they've played this game a lot, I think they would be happy to play it. And even if you haven't, I think it's cool. How about you, Harrison?
Uh, so I finally taught Lauren how to play Guild of Merchant Explorers. The
Ooh, yeah.
Spiel winner, Spiel nominee, whatever it was. Yeah, the one,
Yeah.
the one where it kind of feels like a flipping right, but it's all real bits. And she really liked it a lot. And I told her about the guy that I know who made a giant 3D magnetic version of it that he brings to Gamehole Con, Dan Cunningham's version of it. And she's like, "Ooh, magnets. I want to do that. I want a magnetic
How do those go?
version. Can I make a magnetic version of your game?" And I was like, "Sure." She's like, "You don't care if I like glue things to your board game and possibly mess it up?" I was like, No, go for it. I trust you. Let's do it." And guess what? I got a magnetic copy of Guild of the Merchant Explorers now, and it's super
Sweet.
cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been playing that a bunch, just the 2 of us, and, for those that haven't played it, it's you flip a card over, and then you put cubes on the matching terrain for that card, and then once the deck is through, you reshuffle it. And each round you add a Roman numeral card, and when that Roman numeral card comes out for the first time, you get a unique power that you'd like draft from a deck. And then every time that number comes up in future rounds, you get to reuse that power. So as the game goes through over the course of 4 rounds, you get these unique powers that kind of shape how you're able to navigate this board. Um, and you're starting from one point, this like central city that you're exploring from, but as you explore entire regions on your board, you put out your own little villages. So we magnetize just the villages so that between rounds you can actually just pick up your whole board and like tilt it sideways, and all of the cubes will fall off, but your villages will stay.
Mm.
Which is important because this game has got very tiny pieces, and it can be a little fiddly sometimes. But with the magnets, it's super slick. Feels real good.
That's really cool. Good idea. Way to go, Lauren.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. She's rocking it out with that.
Mhm.
So you haven't played this one yet, have you?
Oh, yeah, I have. I've played this one a
Oh, you
lot.
have.
This
Okay.
this game is
Okay.
excellent. You told me about it
Yes.
on this podcast, and then I went and I sought it out, and I played it at a convention, brought it back home, and I told Nikki, I was like, "You gotta try this game." And then a week later, we had played 9 rounds of it on Board Game Geek. We tried all the boards, like, multiple times because they have all different
Nice.
features that are really different, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get done with this one, and there's so much more to explore. When the
Mhm.
game ends, it's like, "Man, I wish I coulda
Yep.
done more of that."
So that's what I've been playing a lot of.
Nice.
All right, what do you say we talk about some dexterity games?
Let's do it.
All right. This week's topic, we are talking about dexterity games. So we've said dexterity games many times now, and dexterity games are games that have like some physical element to them, where it's like a skill-based coordination element, either a flicking or balancing type of game. So instead of those cool Euros that are all thinky, these ones are more like sports, right? Because you gotta rely
Mhm.
on your physical skills to get good. It's not a very common genre, is it? Like, at least not
No,
in my circles, right?
there's a lot out there. It's not a commonly, like, favorite genre for board gamers, I think. We tend to be the type of people that's, sit around a table and kinda wanna chill out, and these involve a little bit more physical activity. So if you're in the mood for a board game, this isn't always the thing that's gonna scratch that itch. If you're in the mood for a rousing social dexterity game, there are plenty of them that are really exciting and have, like, light rules to get a big group going.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that dexterity games have going for them is that they're very accessible.
Yeah,
Usually,
yeah.
they're usually very accessible. So just the physicality of them is very easy to rope people in who are otherwise maybe uncomfortable with the core board game experiences that you and I are so in love with.
Yeah, and most of them are easy enough to figure out just by watching someone play it, and it's
Mm,
hard not to wanna try it yourself when you see someone do it, so
yep.
they kinda
Yeah,
sell
for sure.
themselves in that way. I've got a first player rule for us.
Oh, all right. Let's hear it.
This is from Nekojima, which, spoiler alert, we will talk about shortly, and it is the clumsiest player goes first. So in order to determine that, I think we need to each tell a story of the most embarrassing broken bone, bruise, or some kind of public injury that we've had.
Oh,
And we can
geez.
just, we can settle this between us. I don't know how we can vote 2 people, but I think it'll be pretty clear.
So I've never actually broken a bone, if you
Oh,
can believe that.
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, indoor kids.
uh,
I mean, me neither.
Yeah, my mom tells me that I broke my ankle when I was a really little kid, and it actually wasn't me who broke it. It was my cousin who ran it over with a scooter. Uh,
Mm.
but I don't remember that. I was too young. Do you have a story?
I was a skateboarder, so I didn't actually I managed to make it out of skateboarding unscathed, so I'll just throw that out there. No broken bones for me either. But, learning to ski at an early age, I was taken on an icy it was a bunny hill of all things, but I was getting my bearings and thinking, "Man, I'm kinda kind of hot crap at this, right? So I can just start cruising. And it didn't take me long to just completely eat it on a patch of ice and completely knock myself in the head on the frozen ice. And I was, I was probably like 7 or 8 at the time. Wasn't aware of this, but it was much worse than I thought it was. And when I had gotten back to my family, I had this goose egg on my forehead that was like no joke. It was like 3 inches of swelling off the top of
Oh
my head.
gosh.
And so my
Oh,
family was just like trying to keep me from seeing it because they knew I was gonna freak out if I did. Because otherwise I was like,
yeah,
yeah, I feel fine. Adrenaline's still running.
right.
But yeah, I managed to ski again after that, so it didn't scare me away.
I remember when I first learned how to ride a bike, my dad had taken me and my brother and my sister to like a parking lot slash park near my grandmother's house. And my brother and I learned how to ride a two-wheel bike, no training wheels at the same time.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and I remember being like so excited that I had finally mastered it. We figured it out. This was great. And so we were riding back to my grandmother's house, and she lives like just on the very slightest amount of a hill. And I thought, I've mastered this machine. It follows my will. It bends to my will. And so I decided to go over the corner of the grass leading to her driveway. And I ate it completely, somehow flipped the bike sideways and jammed the handlebar into my stomach and knocked the wind out of myself so hard that I thought I was gonna die.
Oh, yeah.
So I have no idea how old I was at the time. So whenever you learn how to ride a bike without training wheels, that's how old I was. Maybe the same age as around you, maybe a little older, to your story. But
Yeah.
yeah, never trusted a bike since. I think it goes to you.
Okay, alright,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. I think you got it. You walked away with an injury. I just scared myself.
Okay. Alright, well, in that case, I might as well start with the one that I've just spoiled, and that is Nekojima. You've played this, right?
I have not.
Oh, okay. I thought you mentioned you recognize that one. Maybe you're just familiar with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
know of it.
Okay, so Nekojima is a 2023 game from Unfriendly Games, who I've never heard of aside from Nekojima. And this is based on some I think it's a mythological cat island. I'm not sure that I know the lore of it very well, but the concept is you're building an urban metropolis on an island where cats like to hang on the power lines. I don't know. But it is a cooperative and competitive game. There's lots of different ways to play it, but the concept is always the same. And that is you are stacking these power lines, which I can only describe like in a podcast form as they're almost like nunchucks, like they're two bars with a string attached to the middle of them.
Mhm.
And that string represents the power line. So of course when you're stacking them, the power lines can't touch, you can't touch the power lines, right? But you're building it on this pretty small circular board that represents the island that's divided into quadrants. And you're going to roll dice, which tell you which quadrants the ends of that power line need to be placed in. So, the first one's pretty easy, right? You put in one in the red quadrant, one in the yellow quadrant. You draw a cube that tells you which type of power line to place because there are different lengths of power line and they're color coded so that you know. And then if you drew a black cube, you will have to place a cat dangling by its tail from one of those power lines. So, okay,
Not a
after the
monkey. Looks like
no,
monkeys if I'm looking
no,
at
it does look
pictures.
like a monkey. Yeah, it's a cat. And so as you go and as you kind of fill up this board, you find yourself kind of like weaving these power lines underneath and above other ones to try to avoid touching them. You can't let them cross. They can't touch each other, and you've got to keep them balanced. You can even stack them on top of other power lines as you run out of space. But if you knock everything down, obviously, then you lose, right?
Yep.
So this thing starts building up taller for more space, but also more of them and more of them are getting woven in between each other to the point where then you have to like find a spot to hang a cat and you're kind of reaching in deep to the middle of this structure and trying trying your best to not shake your hand because you could cause mass destruction on this island. So fun concept. It's actually a pretty cool game and pretty cool production too. And I haven't played this co-op mode, so I'm not entirely sure how that works. But I can imagine that um, it would work just fine. For there aren't very many games that can double as co-op and competitive like that, but
Mhm.
I think this one can pull it off.
So it's cat Jenga with strings.
Yeah, a little
No.
bit. It's kinda like backwards cat Jenga. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
building it.
cool. Yeah, I've seen this one. It's got quite the table presence. A lot of these games do.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking at Board Game Geek, and there's a picture of someone's cat on the table next to the game, and that would add a whole extra element. It's almost like an expansion pack. You get a cat, and you put it on the table. It's the Godzilla expansion.
I mean, the way that pets go, you probably have the cat beforehand, right? So is Nekojima an expansion for your cat?
Well, it'd be an odd way to justify the purchase of a new pet. So, okay, that's Nekojima 2023 from Unfriendly Games.
All right, so the first one that I want to talk about is probably the crunchiest mechanically of the games that are on my list, and that's part of the reason I was drawn to it originally because in 2019 at Gen Con, we were pitched this game as like a light Euro with dexterity elements, and this is Mega City Oceana from Hub Games. Mega City Oceana is a city building dexterity game where you are trying to uh, use recycled materials to build a floating ocean city. And each round, you're going to be passing around this giant bag of like plastic chunky pieces and then trying to build individual buildings on these hex tiles in front of you. There's a slight time element to it. You only have like as much downtime between your turns to be building, but then when it's your turn, you have to do some actions. And when you add a building to the center to the city, you have to have it built on a hex tile and then physically slide it into the center of the table and lock it into the grid of existing city buildings.
Hmm.
And these tiles that you're building with, these little pieces, are three different colors of just the weirdest shaped plastic. They're all flat, but they're like weird, uh, almost like not hex shapes. They're just all over the place. Like some of them are
Yeah,
are
like
just squares, some of them are rounded, some of them are like squiggly. Uh, but they all are these different shapes, and you're trying to stack them on their sides or layer them. And there's some finicky rules in there too about or not finicky. There's some specific rules about how they can be stacked and not. And then you're trying to fulfill different goals, like build with all one material or uh, build within a certain height. The game comes with a ruler that you can actually like stack up against the
oh,
tile to see what the tallest building is, and then you put some cubes on it to like denote which one is the tallest building in the city. Uh,
hmm.
this game has some table presence. Like when you get to the end of the game and you've got like 20 or 30 of these like precariously stacked buildings to the center of the table, it just looks fantastic. It's a super cool production. Don't play
It
it. We don't play it enough because it is a it is very stressful to like build this thing in front of you and then have to push it all the way across the table because if it gets knocked over, you get penalized.
it is
Have we played
bizarre
this one with
looking.
you?
No, no, I didn't. You have this one?
Yeah, yeah. We've had
Yeah.
this one. We got it at that Gen Con. This was the one Gen Con that Lauren went to, and
Okay.
yeah, it's got a special place in our heart.
Hmm.
It's a wild game though. It's so weird.
Nice. It is interesting looking, and I have to really try to understand it. I don't completely understand what the limits are on the building or why you'd want to add all of these precarious structures other than the specific scoring, right? Like you're trying to fulfill these requirements.
Hmm.
So there's reason to like risk building something more complicated because then you can get more points, right? Is that the idea?
Yeah, yeah. And it's
Okay.
if you take the tallest building uh leader card from someone, then there's also some benefits for it too.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's like a constant
Huh.
like trying to one up each other by building taller
Yeah.
buildings. So
Nice.
it's a pretty cool game. I would definitely recommend checking it out on BGG if you haven't seen it before. And definitely play it if you get a chance. This is Mega City Oceana.
Cool. All right, my second game is not yet released in this world, but it is. I think it's made a pretty big splash at Gen Con, and especially last year's Gen Con. I remember going and they had a room taken out for flickering stars on the first floor, right across from the vendor hall. So really hard to miss. And this is going to be a new Matt Leacock game, co-designed with Josh Capel, who I'm actually not familiar with Josh Capel, but he's got a couple of games to his name: Wasabi, Wreck Raiders, Diced Veggies, Into Deep. But this is a flicking game, and I have to mention here, Harrison, the word flick being used in the title of a game cracks me up a little bit because when you have a capital L and an I back together, back to back, it could be very easily misread. And I'm just thinking, if you were to interpret this as a U, the name is funny to me. Um,
Yep, I didn't. I've never had that problem with it before, and now I will never be able to unsee it.
yeah. But anyways, the concept here is you're doing like this space battle, and it seems like there's different missions going on with it, different kinds of campaigns that you can run. But it's a head-to-head game. Each person has a fleet of unique ships, and on their turn, they either move or fire their ships all around the table. Which I should say, every time this game is modeled, it's shown with a giant circular playmat, like a huge playmat that wouldn't fit on a lot of tables. So I'm thinking that might be a requirement of the game. It seems like one that would take up a lot of space. But with that, you're going to place different obstacles and different elements that you can pick up and drop off from around that playmat. So there's like little planets where you put they're representing people, but they're like these little pegs that peg into your ship. And your job is to drive your ships around, pick up people, deliver them to different locations, or attack your opposing ships to knock all the people and all the cargo out of it. So the hook that each ship has different functions, it has a different shape. When you move them, you simply flick them across the table. When you're done with your action, you put a little tail fin on the ship, kind of like a spoiler on a car, and it just sets down on the top on the back of the ship. Because these things don't inherently fall over, so when you attack them, if you knock that tail fin off, they've been considered to have been hit. The
Oh,
attacks
okay.
come in like these sort of unique ways. There's one that's basically like a pretty sizable marble that you put on top of the ship, and it has a track that sort of runs down it, and you just kind of like knock it off the ship, and it rolls down and across the table, and whatever it hits is potentially damaged. There's another one. There's like a cannon that you load you load a little shot into it, and you can kind of pull it back and launch that shot across the table. Um, and then I think there's even more to it. I haven't explored too much more than that, but this is this is what I've been introduced to so far. As you can tell, there's kind of like some depth to this one. While it is just a simple flicking game, it's pretty easy to see how it works. You do have to read the rules and have a little player dashboard to understand what each of the different ships can do and how they function. But it sets up a lot of different unique scenarios that kind of benefit these ships and these strategies in different ways. And I think it becomes kind of chess like as a result of that, with the blocking and maneuvering, jockeying for position.
I mean, the way you're talking about it sounds like a minis game, like a war
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's not. It's a dexterity game. That sounds great.
yeah,
What a way to bridge that gap.
yeah, for
The
sure.
the war games just feel so overwhelming to me. I at my weekly playtesting, there were some guys playing Star Wars Armada, and in the hour and a half we were there playtesting, they were playing the whole time. And as we were walking out, I was like, "Hey guys, you can join us next week for playtesting if you want." And they're like, "Okay, cool. Thanks for the offer. We're gonna get back to our game." They hadn't even like fired the first shot in an hour and a half. They'd just been maneuvering their ships.
Oh, really?
So this looks like it'll probably play quicker than that.
Oh, yeah, this is way lighter than that. It's a two. So, and it's all in one box kind of thing. So,
Cool.
yeah, that is Flickering Stars to be released in 2026 from Friendly Skeleton Games.
I'll have to keep an eye out for that one. All right, so my second pick is one that is a little bit of a dramatic history. It has gone through a couple different names, and it originally released as Rampage, and then had to have its name changed to Terror in Meeple City, because Rampage is a video game, and the people who own the rights to video game Rampage didn't like that. So Terror in Meeple City is a 2013 game from Repos Production about giant monsters smashing a city, and you do that with dexterity. So you set up the board by making different buildings across the city, and each building is comprised of some number of meeples with stood up directly, and then layers of cardboard stacked between them. So you have like multi-story buildings, but they're all meeples in between.
Hmm.
And each player is a giant monster represented by like a big chunky wooden piece, and it can be like Godzilla or King Kong, etc., like something similar to that. And on your turn, you get to do a couple different one of different actions to destroy the city, with the goal being to defeat or kill as many like little meeple characters as you can. And those attacks are like smash a building, which I think you just flick your character into a building. There's also a breath attack where the rules are you put your chin wherever your meeple is and you blow as hard as you can to try to knock stuff over.
Okay.
If you
Kind of
get
tricky.
close to a bus or a car figurine, you can kick that too, throw that, and it's all kinds of bonkers. It's kind of hard to find. I don't know if it's still possible to find one right now because it's been out of print for a while. Um, let's see. Oh, Noble Knight has it only for $30, so there must have been a new version of it at some point. Um, so it should be a little easier to get. And I was
Hmm.
wondering, oh, they have Terror in Meeple City, and then there was that whole drama with the word Meeple being in the title of things. So maybe they had to change their
Yeah.
name again. Uh, so, have you played this one? Like, it's kind of a weird one.
No, I've definitely seen it around. I
Yeah,
I think I've even seen Rampage around. I didn't realize it was the same game, but it
yeah,
is undoubtedly a rip off of the video game. So I can see where the
yeah.
problem lies there.
Yeah, for sure. So it's designed by Antoine Bauza, the designer of Joe and Seven Wonders, and it's got some pretty good Euro gamery stuff to it.
Mhm.
But with the flicking, you can really run away with the game because there is such a high luck factor. We've had some games where one person just like happens to start near the color of meeples that they need to score the most, and then they just run away with the game.
Mm.
Um, but also you're still flicking things and destroying things. It wasn't good to have during COVID for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
The
yeah, let's
blowing
have
on the
people over and then just blow at each other.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but it's a super cool game again, one with great table presence.
Nice. Cool. Good choice.
Now that is Terror in Meeple City. I own this one too, so we can add it to the list if you want.
Nice. All right, my number 3 is Flick 'em Up, which if you follow the misinterpreting the L and I,
It's
it's much funnier.
the first
But
thing
this
I checked when you mentioned it earlier.
yeah, this one they did lowercase the L-I-C and K in Flick. So, well done. This one, I have played the deluxe version only. So my understanding of the production is a little skewed because the person that owned it had, I think, like a large scale version of the game. It came in this nice wooden chest. It looks like the retail version is similar production but just smaller. But anyways, I digress. The point of this game is you are a bunch of cowboys fighting a bunch of other cowboys. You set up some tiny saloons and sheriff's office and banks and things like that, and little wooden cacti around the board. And you are going to take turns to either take the action of move or fire. And you get two actions on your turn. So you could shoot twice, you can move twice, you can move and shoot. The way that you move is you replace one of the little standing wooden meeple cowboy guys with a movement disc and you flick it across the table. Wherever it lands, you pick it up and replace it with your cowboy. The rules about flicking in this game are kind of awkward. You cannot, like you flick, you kind of put your index finger against your thumb and create some pressure and then flick to release that
Hmm.
pressure. That's like the standard way, like the expected way to do that. But this game doesn't allow that because they want it to be more awkward and they want it to be less accurate. So you cannot touch your thumb when you're flicking. You just kind of have to put your index finger down, maybe on the table, and then just kind of like, flick it forward, which is really hard to do when you're trying to reach over certain obstacles. And my accuracy in this game is like sub 10%. It's terrible. The same thing happens when you fire. you do is the meeples are kind of directional, right? They have arms sticking out of the sides of them. So you put a little bullet disc to either their left or right, and you do that same kind of flicking action to try to knock down opposing cowboys. It's pretty common to accidentally knock down your own cowboys, which is bad. They lose health. um, but it's kind of one of the funs of this game, or some of the joy of this game, I should say. So yeah, that's kind of like the gist of the game. Again, there's a lot of different setups and a lot of different scenarios you can play. There's certain things that can happen. You can actually go into the buildings and hide in the buildings. You can fire out of the buildings. And when an opposing piece enters the same building as you, you have a shootout, which is kind of like, Wild West style. You stand across from one another and just shoot at each other until someone's dead. Have you played Flick 'em Up, Harrison?
I thought I had, but now I'm looking at pictures. I haven't. I definitely have not played this. I've wanted to, but I have not.
Yeah, I didn't think it played out as much I don't think it played out as well as I hoped it was going to. I had dreams of like just having a blast, just launching pieces across the table at each other. But the fact that it was so hard to do well, it kind of took some of the fun out of it. It felt kind of random. But I can see how if you make this a habit and you do it a couple of times, you could get a really competitive group with it and it could be really fun. So I know that's not a glowing review, but I did wanna highlight this one because I know many people are interested in this kind of game, and it certainly exists. That is Flick 'em Up 2015 from Pretzel Games.
All right. I'm excited to talk about my third and final game because I think this is the first time that we have mentioned a Haba game on our podcast, which is crazy because Haba is like they're one of the most successful game publishers out there, but they're also almost exclusively targeted at children. So, you know, they're not super big in our circles. Uh, but they do well. They do well. And my choice is Animal Upon Animal, or as it's known in Germany, Tier auf Tier. And Animal Upon Animal is a stacking game. Each player has an identical set of animal figures. These wooden animal figures, like a snake, a monkey, a sheep, an alligator. They're all different shapes. And on your turn, you roll a die that tells you to either place two animals on the stack in the center of the table, give one of your animals to another player to stack for you, or place an animal on the table next to the existing stack to kind of extend the base of buildable space. And this, you end up building this precarious stack of animals uh, upon each other in the center of the table. And if you knock them over, you have to take two of the ones that you knocked over into your supply. And the first one to run out of their animals is the winner. And it's a children's game, but oh my, Corey, this game is a blast to play with adults too. Uh,
Yeah.
and with adults and kids, it plays great too. It's got a it's got some weird level of strategy that I'd never anticipated because you're like trying to, oh, if the person who plays after me, maybe I should put out this really difficult piece so that they have to build on it, and it's going to be really tough for them to build on this piece. Or maybe I should place my sheep so they don't screw me over later. They get the whole table meta going too. Um, I played this one last year at our game night. Someone brought it, and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, well, sure, I'll try a new game." And this is fantastic. It's been on my wish list ever since. To pick up a copy.
Nice. So
Yeah.
help me understand this. You said you roll a die and you either have to place two animals, which would be challenging and put you at risk, or you could roll a die that says give your animal to someone else and make them do it.
Uh-huh. Yep. So you can give them one of your really bad pieces, uh, and they might knock it over and have to take the pieces.
I see. So that die
Yeah.
roll is a lot of variance, isn't it? 'Cause
Yeah, yeah. It
I would
it
rather
kind of
give
tells
my
you what
animals
you're
whatever.
allowed to do. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This looks fun. I see a lot of different shapes in here that have got me thinking. Oh man, I could do the easy one and place the snake, which is pretty relatively long and flat. I mean, it's kind of bumpy and
Uh-huh.
it's snaky windy. Or I could be a boss and be like, oh, I'm going with the sheep now, and drop that
Yep.
piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
There's
sounds
like a
fun.
a penguin and a monkey and a toucan who's looking backwards and some thing that might be a hedgehog. It's unclear. Uh, yeah. So this is a popular one, and then there's even like a new version that came out more recently. Uh, yeah, the balancing bridge. where there's even more of a dexterity element to it. I think this one was aimed at a slightly older audience.
Uh,
But there's a bunch of different versions of it. Uh, and like, it's a great family game, great game for adults. I'd imagine playing this with a couple drinks with some friends after a long night of gaming would be also be a blast.
yeah, nice. I'm seeing pictures of kids, and then people with wine in their hand, and then kids. So yeah, it just markets towards many different crowds, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Cool.
that is animal upon animal from Haba. We've stacked up quite a good list, huh? Haven't we?
Oh yeah.
You want to knock it down?
Yeah. Nekojima, Flickering Stars, Flick 'em Up, Mega City Oceana, Terror in Maple City, also known as Rampage, and Animal Upon Animal.
Hey, there we go. We did it.
Yeah.
Another one down. All right, Corey. Well, that brings us to another episode complete of Adamantly Analog. That wow, that's 69 episodes. We should probably just call it quits there.
Yeah. Let's go out on this one. Nice.
Corey, what you been doing besides playing all those cool board games?
Mm. Well, it's been a lot of work stuff. Today I got home. I was hungry. I made a pizza. I ate half of a pizza. And then I went and played volleyball. And I regretted it immediately, but it was a good time. Came back home, recorded a podcast. And after this, I'm going to learn how to proctor the pre ACT tomorrow morning because I got to get up at 6 o'clock and do that.
Oh boy, I've got to do better than that.
So just one of those days.
I've been besides doing Protospiel, I've been playing the Silk Song nonstop still, so
Yep,
that's
yep.
pretty boring. But I did hear that Hades 2 officially has a release date. That's just coming out in a couple weeks. In fact, I should look up the release date so I can say it and sound knowledgeable. The release date for Hades 2, the sequel to Hades, that original roguelike goodness with a bunch of story and the cool god characters. That's coming out September 25th on it looks like Switch and PC and all that, and I'm very excited for that. So I gotta finish up my Silk Song and then get ready to play a different game and hopefully play board games in between. Otherwise, we're going to become a video game podcast.
All right. Well, sounds good. Well, we'll close out on that so you can get your fix then.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
Cool.
What's next week though?
Oh, you know what? Next week is super important, Corey, because we are going to talk about our favorite rules for teaching rules or
Ah.
tips for how to teach board games good.
Yeah, no, that's
That
good.
sounds
I mean,
good.
our favorite rules is not a thing that usually gets said back to back and makes sense, but in this case, I think it is. I think it's appropriate and something that many of us are curious about, thinking about, trying. So I think it'll be a good conversation. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, yeah. We'll be sure to talk about games too. So don't worry if you don't like rules, we'll still have some goodness for you, probably.
Yeah, I got a game night planned on Saturday, so I'm sure to have some juicy stuff for you.
Excellent. Thank you everyone so much for listening to another episode of Adamantly Analog. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye. Adamantly Analog is Corey Murphy and Harrison Dunn. Original themes and bumper music by Corey Murphy. Reach us at adamantlyanalog@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.